Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping you can hear me, right? Perfect. You can go to the next slide. Thank you so much for the introduction. Perfect. There you go. In my own way of introducing myself, I was born in a small town called Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha, in South Africa, to a single mother. I am the only daughter and the youngest. Educational-wise, I have a national diploma and a BTech in marketing, and I was inspired by my own HIV story to pursue a BA honors degree in development studies. As mentioned, I'm a self-published author of 2 books. One book, the first book rather, is a memoir called I Am Still Me, inspired by my own life after being diagnosed with HIV. To date, it has sold more than 3,000 copies in South Africa. Really proud of myself, thank you very much. And the second book is titled I Am Still Zuri. This is a children's book inspired after we were once living with my niece, my brother's daughter, and I didn't think about it. She was 3 years, turning 4 at the time. And I was taking my ARVs in the evening. She asked me, Nozi, what are those for? Are you sick? And for a moment, I did not know how to reply. I did not know how to say, I'm not really sick, but why are you taking pills? And from that point, I started realizing the difficult conversations that mothers are out there, or parents rather, that are out there trying to really destigmatize what HIV is, particularly to children. So the book is simply there to simplify the language of HIV in a manner that is not going to instill fear to children. I'm a podcaster, a TV host, as mentioned, 2 seasons of a TV show where I assist others in sharing their HIV statuses to their family. And I have a YouTube channel where I target different aspects of my HIV story. For example, I'm a married woman, I have in-laws. How did my in-laws think about the HIV story, particularly because my husband is HIV negative? How did we navigate that in a society that is very conservative when it comes to these things? I target different stories such as pill fatigue. I've been on ARVs for a number of years. I'll be very honest that I do suffer from pill fatigue. And so I usually discuss different aspects of my HIV story. I was diagnosed in 2013. I was at work during a wellness day event. I was 22 years at the time. It was very random. They asked us to go and participate. There's different stations, and one of those stations is to test for HIV. When I walked in there, I didn't think anything of it because I thought I was safe. So a year before, I met a gentleman who was very charming. I come from a very conservative family that preached that you do not have sex before marriage. But you know, after a while, you grow up, you get exposed to different things, you've done what you could, and I thought to myself, this is my time to explore, and because I am healthy, I believe that I am safe, I'm assuming the other person is also safe. So when the nurse asked to test me, it was fine, and then she asked, can I test you again? I thought that was very odd, but she said, no, it's a routine test, don't worry. And she put both tests in front of me, and she said, you tested positive. It was a shock. And I immediately felt the need to tell her, I'm a good girl. I don't sleep around. And please don't think of me any other way. To cut the long story short, I hid my status from my family for 6 years. I only started sharing my status to my family in 2019. I was diagnosed in 2013. In 2014, I'm just going to shorten the journey. In 2014 rather, I was pregnant from the same partner, and I terminated the pregnancy because I was afraid of what my family is going to say. I felt like I could hide the HIV status, but a child you cannot hide. It's there, it's visible. In 2017, I started my ARV journey. You would remember that back then in the day when I was diagnosed, for example, in 2013, it was all about only people that had a CD4 count of more than 350 were encouraged to start treatment. So when I was diagnosed, my CD4 count was around 600. I was considered relatively healthy. Then the World Health Organization changed their policies to say that you test and treat. But I delayed my starting of the ARVs because I felt now that is going to be a reminder that I'm really HIV positive. Because there were days where I could forget. But now starting a treatment is going to be, because it's a commitment, right? It's a lifetime commitment. And now that is going to be a reminder that I was HIV positive. And then I only started in 2017. I got married in 2019 to an HIV partner, and recently in 2013 in June, we found out that we were pregnant, and I gave birth to a bouncy, beautiful, big baby boy who was HIV negative. So when I was asked to share my experience of living with HIV and what are some of the influencing factors that I've encountered along the way. Firstly, I believe that we are on the right track when it comes to our interventions when it comes to HIV. However, I want us to all agree that it is a not one-size-fits-all approach. We cannot be dealing with the HIV interventions if we are not going to address some of the most crucial and really important influencing factors in our society. In South Africa, for example, we deal with a lot of GBV cases. We deal with a lot of power dynamics within the households. We deal with a lot of patriarchy. I read an article very recently, says South Africa is considered to be the #1 rape capital in the world, with 10,818 rape cases reported in the first quarter of 2023. The rate at which women are killed by intimate partners in South Africa is 5 times higher than the global average. To make it very simple, I worked at an NGO for a number of years. So the interventions when it comes to targeting women, I believe we're on the right track. But let me make it very simple and very practical. So a woman will walk into our doors, we test them, let's say we found out they're pregnant. Immediately we test for HIV. They're coming alone, that's the first point. They test HIV, they test that they're HIV positive. We encourage them to start treatment. We have to be very honest that willingly, when it comes to women, they're more willing to start the treatment. They don't really delay it. Then what happens is that they go back home. The first point is, where did you get it? I'm healthy. That is a lie. And it's going to be very difficult now to even encourage that partner to come and test. So to what degree our interventions are effective when it's only targeting one part of our population? Now, I've not experienced GBV directly, but I have seen how power dynamics have influenced how my HIV journey has turned out. When I found out in 2013, the doctor advised my partner and I, my then partner, to now practice safe sex so that we avoid reinfecting each other. They only spoke to me. My partner was not there. And for me to relay that message to my partner back home, that was very difficult. And that is how 9 months later, I found out that I was pregnant, because we continued to engage in unprotected sex. And I felt that I did not have a voice in that relationship to say otherwise. So we have to make sure that our interventions are representative of the realities that we are facing in our societies. I mentioned earlier on that in 2013, we received the news that my partner and I, my husband rather, we and I are pregnant. I met my partner in 2016, immediately shared I was HIV positive, but continued the relationship despite that. That's another thing. We do not have to be apologetic about our HIV statuses. And we do not have to be apologetic and feel like we need to get into relationships where we are going to be cornered and oppressed because of our status. I'm educated. I'm very much aware and informed about the subject of HIV. But I was very surprised and taken back on the treatment that I received from my medical practitioner. Firstly, as we were going into the journey, I was told that because I am HIV positive, the only way that my son could be birth healthy is for me to do a C-section. It was not an option. They told me straight up that we are going to perform a C-section. Secondly, he told me that I could not breastfeed. Why did I want to put my son in that risk? Why did I want to risk it? I mean, you have resources. You can buy formula. Why did you want to breastfeed? Why did you want to give a chance where your son could be infected? Now, they are saying this in front of my husband, whose obviously main priority is going to make sure that our son is born healthy. Immediately, I felt silenced. As I mentioned, I'm educated, I'm very much aware of my rights, and I'm very much aware of what is possible. But yet, I felt silenced. And in that point in instant, I could only imagine what our sisters in those medical facilities face on a daily basis. So, although I know I had the right to say otherwise, where I could give birth naturally, where I could breastfeed, but I was very scared. I was very scared. So I continue to agree that I will have a C-section, and I continue to agree that I will not breastfeed. This is coming from a medical practitioner who is very much aware of what our guidelines are, but that is the communication that I got. So I'm sharing these things so that, once again, we realize there's no one fit approach. There's no one size when it comes to these conversations. We can discuss science, but let us also consider so many different factors, so many realities of what we are facing, and that's what we need to tackle. So this is where I am today. I continue to hold all these open conversations in the hope that it's going to ignite some kind of conversations and awareness of where we come from, of where we are, and what is our path moving forward. We have come a long way. We have come a long way. And one of the things that I continue to say is there's no face towards what HIV is. The stigma is not only about now I can't touch a person with HIV, but it's looking at people like me and thinking that HIV does not look like me. It is further silencing people that want to come out and disclose. So with that has been my story, and I'm hoping it has made you think a couple of things. Whether you're in a medical practitioner or you are in the medical space, how are you conducting those one-on-one sessions with your clients? Whether you are in our society, what are some of the values or things that we have normalized that we should not have? So with that, thank you so much for the opportunity. Once again, thank you.